Okay, so now what we got to do is we're going to paint this. Don't make the mistake that I did when I first built this and went ahead and built it, got it done in this position, and then decided to paint it. I was in there trying to paint it and everything, so you do all your painting before you even build the roof. It's a whole lot easier, believe me. Okay, so first of all, as you can see, I've already put some primer on here. And before I get started any further, I don't claim to be a professional painter, professional wood finisher, anything like that. I'm just telling you what works for me and how I do it. I have done some research, and supposedly this is a good method. So this is what I use. You know, zoom in on that. It's an oil-based. Make sure it says exterior oil-based primer. Okay. This is a good brand right here. I've actually painted over that, but this is what I use, and it's very easy. You just crack open the can, get you a throwaway brush, and brush it on with a brush. Okay. As you can see, it's not. This is just primer. This is just something to get the paint to stick. And after that, you'll take and go around. You get some 180 sandpaper after the primer's dry, and then you sand it lightly, like that, all around the entire thing to get it real smooth. Then after you do that, we want to caulk every crack and crevice on it. This is the stuff the caulking we're gonna use. And what I do is I like to have a wet rag handy for when you caulk this. Now, this is obviously the bottom of it, but as you can see how we have cracks here? What we'll do is we'll take our caulk and we'll eliminate those cracks. This just makes it more professional. It looks real good. A lot of you will say, well, this is the bottom, why are you even wasting time with it? Well, that's because I like to make a good product. I like for it to look good everywhere. Okay? You see how you did that, made that clean? And then you come down here and you do the same thing on this one. Take your wet rag and get a little bit of moisture on your finger, and then go like that. Okay? You see how that's cleaned up? When you go to put the paint on it, it makes it look really good. Okay? Okay, so that's the sample on how to do the bottom, and you do this along here too. Anywhere two boards meet, you want to caulk it. Just like that. Okay. Okay, so you get the idea of how to do the bottom. Alright, so now we're going to go around here and I'll show you what's all got to be caulked here. Anywhere two boards meet and make a 90 degree. Right here we're going to caulk. Right here we're going to caulk. Around these pilings we're going to caulk. We're going to caulk underneath the shelf here. We're going to caulk on top of this baseboard right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate all of that. Can you see that? See how these cracks are and everything? When we get done with that, it'll all look uniform by using that caulking. Okay. And if you ever done this for the first time, it takes a little getting used to. You have to be real slow. You can put too much of this caulking on if you're not paying attention. But as you can see, that cleans up the area, and when you spray paint over that, it looks like it's all one solid piece, just like these. Okay, so I'm not going to go through and do a video showing me caulking the entire thing, but you basically get the idea. That's how you caulk it, right there. Okay, so after you do that, the next step would be to paint it. Okay, this is the paint that I choose to use. It works for me. I can tell you it'll take 3 cans of this to put a nice finish on it. And you just read the directions on it. It tells you how to spray, how often to coat it. I will tell you one thing. Per manufacturer, it says if this comes to dry, you have to wait 48 hours to put another coat on it. After you've let it dry for its complete dry time, you have to wait 48 hours before you can put a second coat on it. But it also states that you can recoat within 1 hour. In other words, if you want to let it dry 20 minutes and then hit it with another coat, let it dry 20 minutes, or you could do the long coat where you let it dry for 2 days and then put another coat. It's up to you, but that's what it says on the manufacturer. And obviously it's very easy. You know, you shake the can and you spray it on. I got this sprayer here because it's a little bit easier to use. I think it was like $5. Okay, so that's basically it. forgot to show my. You also have to caulk here too. Right along here on this inside corner we're going to caulk. I forgot to show you that. But it's basically the same thing. Okay. Alright, so, and then let me show them how to do it around here too. You can zoom in on that, see how there's a crack right there? Just like that. And then when you get done painting that, you'll never see that crack. It'll look real professional. See how we have one down here? Just like that, it goes away. Okay, so I've already painted the inside of our feeder. It's finished. So now we could build our roof. So first thing we have to do is we have to put our ridge block in perfect position. In other words, the correct height and centered in between here. How are we going to do that? We're going to use this. It's just a jig. It goes like that. Okay? We're going to fasten this to our ridge block to this. Making it flush here. Okay, so now all we got to do, I've already marked the center of this where I'm going to put this. This is, you know, exactly in the center. So I've got my marks on there. Now I'll position it in there like that. And then we'll take one. Take a little finish nail here and nail it. See if that does anything. shot in there. Alright. And when we're done, we're just going to take these 2 screws out and then take a little screwdriver or something, pry that up a little bit and pop it right out. Okay, now we got to put this exactly in the center. So how are we going to do that? We're going to measure it. Okay. I'm going to measure from here to here. That's 14 inches. It's 13 1/8. Okay, so what's half of that? Try 13 1/2. Go 13 9/16. Okay, so these are our temporary boards we're going to put in. Okay. I marked 13 1/2 with pencil lines, so when I put it on here, I can just line it up and nail it. Let me double check it before I nail it. Is that on the pencil line? Hold it right there. And 3/8. Okay, it's an 1/8 inch off. So we'll kick it back a little bit. All right. Now we know that this distance is the same as this distance. Now we want to check it this way. We want to check here and check here. So measure it. It's 13 3/8. Thirteen 3/4. Okay. So we want to make this 13 9/16. Okay, perfect. Alright, so that's where it is. It's right where we want it. Now, I've already set the angle that we need to cut our plywood on. And then we're going to cut, let's see what we got here. 13. This ain't going to work. I've already cut our angle on this. Okay. Using the table saw, we cut one angle. And first thing we do on this is there's another thing I forgot to check. No. Okay, that's good. Alright, first thing we want to do is we want to find the center from here to here. Okay, so it's 10 inches. So obviously 5 would be center. And we'll put a mark on there. Okay, now we don't just want to mark the center of that because this might be off a little bit. And we'll go, if you have one of these, this comes in real handy for doing this. It's a 16-inch tri-square. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll put it on here like that. And I'll hold it on my mark, and I'll just roll it down to where it touches there. And I'll mark that. Okay. All right. Now, that'll be the top of our plywood. See how we're sticking it down here? Okay. So, I know that my bottom's 10 inches, so we'll come over here to our piece and we'll mark 10 inches. All right. And then we'll also mark our center on here. Okay. Now we need to mark our length. Okay. So from that line to here is going to be our length. So 13 3/8. So we'll come over here and mark 13 3/8. Okay. Now, take and square this up. Just like we put our square on there, we're going to put it on here. Okay? So there's our line. That's going to be up at the top. Alright, now we need to find what we're going to mark our top at. So we'll go back here and we'll measure from our mark to here, and then we'll measure from our mark to here. So from here to there we got inch and 7/16, and then you have 3/4. So I'll mark inch and 7/16, and then 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Yeah. All right. Then we'll go from here to there. We'll go from here to there. And this is how you do each and every piece, just like that. Same process, you go around and do each individual one just like that. Okay, so now we want to cut this. I got my saw set to the right angle that we need, and we're going to cut this like that. That way you'll have an angle this way and an angle that way. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't mark the line all the way across. Okay. By the way, this is pressure treated lumber. It's made for exterior use. I wouldn't just use regular plywood. If you did, I don't think it would last that long, even if you painted it. So now we're going to set this angle to what you need. What it is, you have, this has an angle going this way, this one has an angle going this way. So when you put them all together, you know, they'll fit together. You can't have just a square angle on it. It has to be cut to fit. So you got to angle all the way around this. Okay. Now there's two ways to do this. You could set your saw. Set your saw to that angle and cut it with a saw, or you could use a table saw. That way is a little bit safer compared to this. I mean, how the lines, our marks line up exactly with our marks? That's how you do it, every piece. Now, on this particular piece, I'm a little bit wide here. So I'm gonna mark that, and I'm gonna go from there to nothing because we're good here. Have to trim off just a little bit there. That side's perfect. Okay. Notice we're also a little too long here. It really needs to be down there like that. So I'm going to cut this off here a little bit. That's good. Okay. We're ready to fasten that. I take and put a tape around here when I'm done using it, and then the nail inside here keeps it from drying up in the tip. Get a shot of that. That's what this product is, that what we're using here. Wipe all your dust and stuff off here. Okay. And then we know our board's going to go right below that line. Okay. These are 1.25" stainless steel 18 gauge nails. And what I do is I put 4 of them in there. And up here I'll put 2 or 3 depending on how I like it. And that's all you really need. Once everything's put together, it's not going to come apart. And that's basically what you do. You make each individual piece, and then when you get to over here, you can put all these pieces off. This one, that one, and this one. You get all those pieces put together, you can take your braces off, and then take your screws out and remove the piece. Alright. So basically you do the same thing. Repeat the process. Half of it's done, you just finish and do the other half. It's much easier to work from one side to the other rather than to put 2 pieces in together. So always work from one side. You start here, just go around, and that way you only have one piece to fit at the end. I don't think it's necessary to finish the entire video to show you that. You've already seen how to do that. Alright, so what I want to do now is show you how we make our shingles. The shingles are made from red cedar. This is a cedar post, 4x4 post. And what I do is I cut it into 12-inch pieces. Okay, so what I'll do is I want to show you how I cut these shingles. Here's some I've already made. But I want to show you how I make them. Cut it into 12 inches. And also you don't want any knots in your lumber like that. I mean, that's out of an 8-foot board, this was the only knot in it. So then we'll take and we set our saw to the thickness of our shingle. And then if you look on this, you see it, this has a rough side, and then there's a kind of a smooth side. That's what you want to start out with right here. If you put the rough side down, you're really not getting a good thickness of the lumber. You're getting, that roughness is pushing the board off of and it'll actually be a thinner shingle. But you set the height of the blade to a little bit over half of the thickness of this post, because you're going to run it through 2 times to make one shingle. pieces out of one piece 12-inch long. Then what I'll do is I'll cut this 2 times, and we'll have 3 stacks of shingles. We'll have 24 shingles. But we'll do that when we get ready to put the shingles on. I already made this. This is the top piece. As you can see, it's 2 pieces of 4x4 that I ripped down to 3/4 of an inch. And then I put them together, glued them together like that, clamped it overnight. And what this will end up eventually being will be these pieces right here. This piece or this piece. But this will be in another video. Okay, so what I want to show you is how to put the tar paper on. Now, I don't claim to be a professional roofer. I'm not a expert roofing guy, okay? But I've seen a lot of guys, they don't even put tar paper on. They'll just staple the shingles onto that and that'll be it. I try to add a little more quality to it, and I'll put some tar paper on there to protect the plywood. What I'll do first is I'll take a measurement. We want the tar paper to hang over here about 1/4 of an inch. Alright, you don't want it short like that, because water gets through here, it's going to get down on there and then rot this board. So we want it about 1/4 inch below that. So what I did is I measured here, I measured here to here, here, and I made this piece. Much like I made these pieces. Took the same measurements, make it. So what I'll do is I'll take and cut 4 of these, and then I'll put them on every other one. And then I'll cut 4 different pieces similar to this, but longer, that'll lap over each one of these. Okay? Alright, that's that. Okay, as you can tell, I've already cut the length of our piece. I have a pattern here we could use. That. Jack, you want to go to the honey farm? You can go to the honey farm, Sneed's Ferry. Okay. And for our pieces that are going to overlap, we'll make it a little bit longer. And it don't have to be perfect, you know, about 3/8 of an inch, something like that, longer. And this will be the one, the 4 other ones that are a little bit bigger, like that. Okay, so we'll take these and put them on. I don't like to put a whole lot of staples in it because you're kind of defeating the purpose by puncturing the paper. Okay, now we're going to put our bigger pieces on. That'll be overlapping that. Okay. Just save that. Okay. That's basically it right there. Kind of center it in between there. That. Now, you don't have to do this next step. I do it. I just like taking a piece of tape and taping each seam. It makes it easier for when you put the shingles on. It won't be buckling up like that. It'll lay flat. Or I do that, kind of push it in there like that. And then I roll the tape over like that. Like I say, it kind of holds it in place and it keeps it, it's easier to put your shingles on by doing that. Okay, so now we've already put our tar paper on. The next step is layout for the shingles. We want our shingle to, these are basically our shingles. I showed you how to cut them up and make them, and then you cut them into 3 7/8. And what we want the shingle to overhang our drip edge by 1/4 inch. So we know that this is 3 7/8. So if we measure from our drip edge up 3 5/8 and put a mark, we know that when we put our shingle on, it's going to be overhanging 1/4 inch. So since we got this paper on, it's kind of hard to tell where the edge of that is. So what I do is I just rub my finger on that, get a close-up of it, and you can see the edge of the drip edge. So you use that, mark it 3 5/8, and then do the same over here and go all the way around and get your line started for your first shingle. Then after you do that, what we want to do is establish our peaks, and our from this point to that point. So what you do is on each one you find the exact intersection right here You mark that, and then you just place your straight edge from that angle to there, and you draw your ridge line. And you do that to each one. Okay? All right. So, starting off, we'll take our first shingle and place it over there. And you want it to extend past the point here. Hold it on your line so it's square on your line. And then we'll take our straight edge and we'll put it right on our pencil line. And then we'll mark it. And that'll be where you cut it. Okay, so we got our saw set at the right angle we want. And then we're just going to cut it. A piece like this, we want it, the angle to go that way. So that's how we're going to cut it. Okay. And what I'm using here is staples, stainless steel staples. What we'll do is we'll line this up with our line, and then we'll line this up with our line here. Okay. And that's that. What you want to do is every once in a while cut these and to make the pieces smaller, because you don't want them all the same, you know what I mean? You want to make different size shingles to put in there. So and then here's what's real important too, is I use a piece of tar paper for a spacer. You don't want these to be tight, because they when they get wet, they will expand and contract as they get wet and dry out. So you want at least a space in there. Okay, we know our piece is going to be here. We know we got to have at least that much there. So our next piece, we want to be about that wide. So we'll just mark it like that, find out what that is. It don't have to be perfect, it's right about 2 1/8. 1 or 2. What was that? 2 1/4. Okay. We'll just cut it 2 1/4. Okay, now we're going to mark this side. Oh, I just noticed that somehow this piece was longer than the other ones. We're going to have to cut that. I don't know how that happened. Okay, so the idea of putting these shingles on, I want to get a shot over here on this side, is this is our reveal. This is what's actually going to be shown when you're done. This is actually finished. So what we're trying to do is we want this space to be the same. Okay, so when you look at it, it's appealing to the eye. So the way we do that is we figure out the overall length and we divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then that comes up to be right at 2 7/8. So what we do here, 2 7/8 is our reveal. So just to show you, I'll put a mark there. Then when you put your shingle on, that'll be your next line all the way around. And what I've done, I've cut a board to that length, or I could just mark it. Okay, and that'll be our next line for our shingles. We're going to put our top of our shingle will be right here, and that'll give us our reveal. Okay, now on the next layer, what we want a solid shingle to be covering here. In other words, we don't want this shingle to line up with this one. We want it to be like that. So we'll hold our shingle on their line there, and then this time we won't have to use the ruler because I can see where the edge is here, and I'll just mark that, and then I'll mark where our line is here, and that'll be where we're going to cut. We'll cut it. And you have to do each one of these all the way around, every piece. You have to mark it. Okay, on this one we're going to mark it probably right here. Okay. I think, okay. Alright, so what we're going to do here, same thing. We're going to mark it with our block. And we're ready for the next course. When you, alright, remember we cut these shingles up with the 4x4? If you, just for your reference, one 12-inch piece will do two sides, two panels of shingles. So there's 8 sides, so you're going to need four 12-inch pieces ripped up. This is a little bit long. I wonder how that happened. Yeah, we're going to have to cut that. Okay, so now see, we're going to be short right here. So that means we're going to have to add another piece in here to get it over where we can make our cut. So that would work good right there. Let's cut it. Somehow these are off a little. We can't do that because this is too close to that. We need it to come right here. So right here. Somehow I cut that one wrong. I made a mistake. That's too, it ended up being too short. So try it again. Okay, so it's actually a little short. I'm gonna let that ride though. Okay, so what I do on this last piece, we can't use our staple gun because the staples will be too big and it'll actually crack the shingle and break it because of how thin the shingle is. So what I'll do is I'll glue this last piece on. And then we'll use our 1¼ inch stainless steel finish nail. And you kind of got to be careful with this glue not to get it on the rest of the roof, because if you do, when you go to put on your finish, it'll make it ugly. And that's that. Okay. What I want to do is, this is basically what you do on every one. Okay. I'm going to show you how to put these pieces together, just so you know how to, put the ridge together. And what we'll do on that is we'll take our shingle, we'll line it up on there like that, and then hold on a minute, I'll get the line it up on our line. And then we'll take this right here and hold it up against that, and that'll give us our angle that we need. It's not where we need it, but that's our angle. This tool right here, people that don't know what it's actually called, they'll call it an angle finder because they don't know what the real name of it is. The name of the tool is a bevel square. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll set this to that angle, and then I'll move it down here and we'll cut it right there, and that'll be the perfect angle for that. that. Okay. Now, on these, where I butt these together, I use glue. Okay. That way, it kind of helps hold it together. What do you want, Jack? That's it. Basically, you do the same thing you did here, and then when you put these pieces up, glue them, each one to each up. That'll help hold this ridge together. And basically, that's it. Next video, I'll have this shingled, and then I'll show you how to do the top. There's 3 pieces that go on the top.